The highway stretched like a gray ribbon under the pre-dawn sky, its edges blurred by a thin mist. Sam Carver gripped the wheel of his 2019 Freightliner, the engine's low rumble a familiar companion. At 44, he was a long-haul trucker, his life measured in miles, deliveries, and the flicker of diner neon signs. He'd been driving for 15 years, hauling everything from frozen produce to auto parts across the lower 48. Tonight, he was on Interstate 80, bound for Denver with a load of electronics. The road his home as much as the small apartment he barely saw in Tulsa. Sam's cab was a cluttered sanctuary, a worn photo of his daughter, Ellie, taped to the dash, a thermos of black coffee, stack of audiobooks, mostly thrillers, on the passenger seat. The CB radio crackled faintly, other drivers swapping stories of traffic and weather, their voices a lifeline in the dark. Sam didn't talk much, but he listened, the chatter grounding him as the odometer ticked past 600,000 miles. He'd started trucking after his marriage. To Karen fell apart, a casualty of his drinking and her patience running dry. The road offered escape. No bosses breathing down his neck, no walls closing in. It paid decently, $70,000 a year if he pushed hard, though the hours were brutal. 70 a week, sometimes more, dodging DOT regulations and sleep deprivation. The job had saved him, in a way, forcing him sober, but it also kept him from Ellie, now 17, who lived with Karen in Omaha. Their calls were short, her voice distant, and Sam carried the guilt like a load he couldn't unload. The sky lightened as he crossed into Nebraska, the plains unfolding in shades of gold and gray. His delivery was due by noon, a tight schedule after a delay at a way station in Iowa. He sipped his coffee, the bitterness sharp, and checked his GPS. 320 miles to go. The road was clear, but a storm was brewing west, dark clouds massing on the horizon. Sam had driven through worse, blizzards, tornado warnings. But he respected the weather. It was one thing the road taught you: control what you can, roll with what you can't. Sam's route was a familiar loop: Tulsa to Denver, then Salt Lake City, maybe a pickup in Reno before circling back. This week, he was hauling TVs, a $200,000 load that demanded care. Electronics didn't take kindly to rough roads. He'd loaded up in Kansas City, double-checking the straps, the warehouse foreman barking about deadlines. "Get it there on time, Carver, or it's your ass," the guy had said, as if Sam didn't know. The first hours were routine. He stopped at a Love's Travel stop near Lincoln, refueling and grabbing a breakfast burrito. The lot was packed with rigs, Peterbilts, Kenworths, a few Volvos, their drivers swapping nods or complaints about fuel prices. Sam stretched his legs, his back stiff from the seat, and checked his logbook. The electronic logging device, ELD, tracked his hours, a digital leash ensuring he didn't push past federal limits. He had 10 hours left before a mandatory 10-hour break, enough to reach Denver if the storm didn't slow him. Back in the cab, he popped in an audiobook, Grisham this time, a courtroom drama, and let the story fill the silence. The road demanded focus, but it also left room for thoughts to wander. He thought of Ellie, who'd texted him a photo of her prom dress last month, all sparkles and shy smiles. He'd sent $200 for the dress, wishing he could have been there. He thought of Karen, remarried now, her new husband, a steady type who coached Little League. Sam didn't hate him, just envied the time he got with Ellie. The CB crackled, a driver warning of a jackknifed rig near Cheyenne. Sam adjusted his speed, eyes scanning for hazards. Trucking was a dance of vigilance. Deer, drunks, distracted sedan drivers weaving into his lane. He'd seen accidents that haunted him. Flipped tanker in Arizona, a minivan crumpled under a semi in Ohio. Safety was his mantra, drilled in by years and close calls. He kept his rig maintained, tires, brakes, lights, and his reflexes sharp even when exhaustion clawed at him. The road wasn't just asphalt, it was people, fleeting, but vivid. At a diner in North Platte, Sam sat at the counter, a plate of meatloaf and mashed potatoes steaming in front of him. The waitress, a woman in her 50s named Dot, refilled his coffee with a grin. "You look like you've driven 1,000 miles, hon." "Feels like it," Sam said, managing a smile. Dot was a regular on his route, her banter a bright spot. She'd been slinging hash for 20 years, her kids grown, her stories endless. Tonight, she told him about a trucker who'd left her a $100 tip, claiming he'd won it at a casino. "Shoulda kept it," Sam said, forking a bite. "Guys like that are usually full of it." Dot laughed, wiping the counter. "Maybe, but it paid for my grandson's sneakers, so I ain't complaining." Sam left her a $10 tip, more than he could spare, but Dot's warmth was worth it. Truck stops and diners were his social hubs, where drivers and locals traded tales. He knew a few regulars. Jimmy, a grizzled hauler who ran reefer loads and loved conspiracy podcasts. Maria, a rookie driver who hauled furniture and asked Sam for tips on backing into tight docks. They weren't friends, not exactly, but they were his tribe, bound by the road's unwritten code. Help when you can. Keep moving when you can. Back on I-80, the storm hit, rain hammering the windshield, wipers struggling to keep up. Sam slowed to 45 miles per hour, his high beams cutting through the downpour. The CB buzzed with warnings. Flooding ahead, a mudslide risk. He pulled into a rest area, joining a dozen rigs waiting out the weather. In the next truck, a driver named Leroy waved, his face lit by his cab's glow. Sam rolled down his window, rain spitting in. "Some night, huh?" Leroy called, his accent thick with Louisiana. "Heard you're headed to Denver. Gonna be late." "Maybe," Sam said, checking his watch, hoping it clears by dawn. Leroy nodded, offering a bag of jerky. "Hang tight, brother. Road'll wait." Sam took a piece, the salt sharp on his tongue. Leroy was a flatbedder, hauling steel, his rig scarred from years of heavy loads. They talked for an hour. Routes, fuel costs, the best BBQ in Texas, until the rain eased. Sam didn't know Leroy's last name, but moments like this, shared in the dark, were what kept him sane. Trucking wasn't just driving, it was a grind. Sam's body bore the marks, stiff shoulders, a knee that clicked, eyes strained from endless horizons. The isolation was worse. Days without a real conversation, nights in a sleeper berth barely bigger than a coffin. He'd quit drinking, but the urge lingered, especially on long runs when the loneliness hit hard. He fought it with audiobooks, coffee, and calls to Ellie, though she often let them go to voicemail. Money was another strain. After taxes, insurance, and child support, Sam's take-home was thin. Fuel ate up $1,000 a month, and repairs, like the $3,000 he'd dropped on a new alternator, could wipe out his savings. The industry was changing too. Self-driving trucks loomed, and companies pushed for cheaper, younger drivers. Sam was good. On-time deliveries, clean record. But he felt the clock ticking, his future as uncertain as the weather. His biggest regret was Ellie, He'd been a weekend dad at best. The road stealing years, he couldn't get back. Last month, she'd asked about college, her voice hesitant. "I want to study biology, maybe be a vet," she'd said. "But it's expensive." Sam had swallowed his guilt, promising to help. "We'll figure it out, kiddo. You just keep studying." He'd started saving, cutting back on diner meals, picking up extra loads. Ellie deserved better than his mistakes, and he'd haul every mile to give it to her. The storm cleared by 4 a.m., and Sam rolled into Denver just before noon, his delivery late but intact. The warehouse manager, a harried guy named Pete, signed off without complaint. "Good to see you, Carver," he said, handing Sam a water bottle. "Heard it was rough out there." "Always is," Sam said, pocketing the paperwork. He had a 34-hour reset before his next load, a rare chance to breathe. Instead of crashing at a truck stop, he drove to a park, the mountains framing the city like a postcard. He sat on a bench, eating a sandwich, watching kids play soccer. It reminded him of Ellie's games, ones he'd missed for loads like this. His phone buzzed, a text from Ellie. "Got an A on my bio test. Can we talk soon?" Sam's chest warmed. He typed back, "Proud of you, kid. How's tomorrow?" She replied with a heart emoji, a small victory. That night, at a diner outside Denver, Sam met Maria, the rookie driver struggling with her logbook. "These ELDs are killing me," she said, her pen tapping nervously. "How do you stay on top of it?" Sam slid into her booth, showing her how to sync the device. "Takes practice. You'll get it. Just don't fudge the hours. Dot's got no mercy." She smiled, grateful. "Thanks, Sam. You're like the road's big brother." He laughed, the sound rusty. Maria was young, ambitious, reminding him of his early days when the road felt like freedom, not a tether. He bought her coffee, a small gesture, and realized he wanted to be more than a loner hauling freight. He wanted to teach, to connect, to leave something behind. Back on the road, Sam picked up a load in Salt Lake, medical supplies, bound for Tulsa. The run was smooth, the desert giving way to plains, the sky endless. He called Ellie, catching her before school. "That A's a big deal," he said, his voice steady. "You thinking about colleges yet?" "Maybe Colorado State," she said, excited. "They've got a good vet program, but it's far." Sam gripped the wheel, the miles between them feeling heavier. "We'll visit together. I'll take some time off. Deal?" "Deal," she said, and he heard her smile. The call stayed with him, a beacon through the long drive. In Reno, he helped Jimmy fix a busted taillight, sharing a beer in the lot. In Tulsa, he dropped his load and went home, his apartment sparse but his own. He taped Ellie's prom photo to the fridge, next to a postcard from Dot's diner. The road was still his life, but it wasn't all of it. Sam started small changes. He enrolled in a mentoring program for new drivers, sharing his knowledge of routes and regs. He saved for Ellie's college, cutting extras but keeping his promise. He called Dot, thanking her for the stories, and sent Maria a text. "You got this. Keep rolling." One night, on I-40, the stars bright above the Oklahoma plains, Sam turned off the audiobook and let the silence settle. He thought of the miles behind him, mistakes, losses, long nights, and the ones ahead. Trucking wasn't forever, but it had shaped him, taught him to keep moving, to find meaning in the journey. He wasn't just a driver, he was a father, a friend, a man with a story still being written. He cranked the radio, a Springsteen song about redemption filling the cab, and drove on, the road stretching toward somewhere, not nowhere.